We're staying with sporting endeavours and a man who's rowed across the Atlantic. Lloyd Figgins from Didcot set off from Morocco and 2 months later reached land again in Barbados. He decided to take on the adventure to raise money for the RNLI and to carry out research for the environmental charity Earthwatch. Lloyd's now back in Oxfordshire. He came into the studio and told me about the most challenging aspects of the trip.
I think the toughest part was the weather. We're dealing with 6-7 metre waves, and also storms would come in where you'd be getting soaked. But the big waves, when they were crashing over the boat, soaking you, you're coming off your seat, and you had to get back on and continue rowing. So that was pretty tough at times.
We've got some pictures of you in calmer waters. There were 2 of you in the boat, and you were accompanied on this particular day by some dolphins, which must have been a really good sight to see in the middle of the water.
It was amazing. We actually had 3 pods of dolphins come and visit us. One just swam through a really large pod of about 150. Then we had another pod which were feeding, and that was brilliant to see them actually corral the fish, and when they blew through the blowholes you could actually smell fish on their breath.
Nice.
And then a final pod came through, and they were milling around, and they were actually really interested in us, and you could see by the way that they were swimming on their side so that they could actually look up and actually see us in the boat. And so we had some interactions with them as well.
You never know, perhaps there's dolphin research going on humans.
Yeah, absolutely, probably is.
Because you were out there, weren't you, doing some research for Earthwatch, as well as rowing 3,200 miles. You were there trying to find out about the wildlife.
Absolutely. So initially we were raising money for the RNLI primarily, but we are also doing research for the Earthwatch Institute, who are based in Oxford, and we were looking at marine species that we would see out there away from the major shipping lanes that other people perhaps wouldn't see and wouldn't have recorded. So we could record that data, give that to Earthwatch, who can then distribute that data out to all the marine organisations, and they can then map it. And so that data will become really, really useful to the scientific community.
And what was your most exciting find?
I think was probably the pygmy killer whales, which are a rare breed of dolphin, which are very rarely seen. And we saw a small pod of them. But it was just fantastic to see something that is rarely seen, and then we could then record that, and that then is getting used.
Lloyd, what an adventure. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
There are just